the Game Award.
And the Game Award goes to...
And the Game Award.
The Game Award.
The Game Award.
goes to...
And the winner is...
And the winner is...
The winner is...
10 years ago, we began a journey together to celebrate video games as the biggest, most powerful form of entertainment in the world.
Thanks, Jeff Keighley, and welcome back to the 2024 Game Awards. Now, this is a special category that Tychodragon is making for all you people. Jeff Keighley supports it 100% guaranteed behind the scenes. Now, we're gonna go over some of the games that were the biggest fucking embarrassments of failures this year. Because, you know, us seasoned gamers, we know what we want. And we love good games. And it's easy enough to find good games if you're a good enough gamer. But it makes it so much funner to kick back, relax, and make fun of all the fucking embarrassments that tried to make money off our industry this year. So this year, 2024, strap on in for the Tychodragon 2024 Shit Game Awards. Now, I have had an absolutely fantastic year in gaming, including some incredible titles found throughout the year. And you know what the funny part is that I never really even played any new games that came out this year, just for the simple fact that I'm sure there was many amazing titles out there for you to explore, but I'm kind of the type of person who loves to fucking take in some of the older school stuff, and there's some games that are just so near and dear to my heart, and new games I just didn't even ever play, that I have actually had a fucking stellar ass year in video games, and that's despite all the bullshit they came out with. So I mean, the thing is that there are plenty of great games to explore this year. Elden Ring with the new DLC, or Space Marine 2, or Black Myth Wukong. But I mean, let's just take a minute to appreciate all the amazing games that we still had from years past and that can be moddable today to make them even better. And the true nature of these game companies hate to admit is that there's a lot of competition out there they have from games from the past. And even games 20 fucking years ago are still amazing today. So I mean, yeah, they're fighting a fucking losing battle. And the more games there are, the more it's going to be hard to vie for that attention. And the better news for us, the better games are going to get. Because shitty games fail and good games succeed. That's the rule of law. So the more we rip on these shitty games that come out, the more we can succeed and have better games. It's the evolution of nature, and the truth of the matter is that I'm gonna do that right fucking now. So sit back, relax, grab some snacks, and enjoy me for 2024's Shittiest Game Awards, where we dissect all the worst fucking failures from this year. Number 1 is Concord. Now, how could we start with another game besides Concord? The absolute biggest fucking failure we've probably ever seen in gaming as a whole. Concord was an absolute mess from the beginning, with its hilarious addition of robots with pronouns to its absolutely cookie cutter Guardians of the Galaxy ripoff. Concord was a boring looter shooter that we've seen hundreds of times, and to make matters worse, this time it just smelt shittier than anything we've seen before. And it really showed, as Concord was ripped from store shelves just 2 weeks after it came out, and people weren't even able to buy it, and the studio shut down a few months later, and it just goes on and on and on from Concord, from its stupid ass developer that made everyone call him the Professor. Concord was just a laughing matter, and it was fun to be there because we all knew it was going to fail. And when it came out and they lost fucking $200 million on it, enough to feed every single starving child in the US, they actually, believe it or not, they've not yet come out and said that Concord was a failure yet, even though it was the biggest fucking failure we've ever seen in any type of entertainment. So for that, Concord gets a special mention because it was such a piece of shit that it's actually kind of sad. Now, another notable mention deserving of it is Star Wars Outlaws. Now, Star Wars Outlaws could have been an actually pretty good game. Instead, it pandered to the smallest demographic of crazy cat ladies who wanted just a story that was broken and janky enough for Ubisoft to live up to its name, but at the same time milk the Star Wars franchise for everything that it's worth. And despite how cute that little creature is, nobody really wanted to play this story about a character that's deeply and utterly unlikable. And actually, if they would have just made a bigger game, slightly bigger game, and added a character creator, they might have actually had a hit on their hands, but they decided to double down, and it really burned them in the end, as it being generally accepted that Outlaws is a failure. Now, yet another one for Ubisoft is Skull and Bones, a game that many people probably forgot even came out in the first place. And Skull and Bones is one of those rare Gemma games where they had the absolute Easter egg, kind of like Outlaws to be honest, the golden Easter egg of an open world pirate game, and they handed it to a bunch of buffoons who directed a bunch of good graphical artists to create a world that is just deeply unenjoyable. You would do all kinds of looting and stupid quests, but you were never able to get off your ship and explore. A decision that whoever was responsible at Ubisoft for not having ground combat and swashbuckling and exploration with your friends deserves to be fired from the gaming industry forever, because that has got to be the most incompetent game design. Of course we wanted to get off our ship and fight each other on the side of the ships. What the fuck were you idiots thinking? Jesus, these people even play video games? Now, maybe there was some type of technical limitation, but that shouldn't have held them back, and they should have done anything in their dreams to put that out there. So what you had on your surface with Skull and Bones was an absolute fucking objective failure, and nobody bought it, and it lost a ton of money, and they tried to put some identity politics in it, but generally it's just such a shitty game, and many people had to torment through. And honestly, they now have fuckered the pirate enjoyment, which we should have had a fucking goddamn open world pirate game with this level of graphics by now, for fuck's sakes, Ubisoft. Now, my god, is the next entry ever a fucking failure. A game that is just built and directed around identity politics, and what looks like it was made in some type of Left 4 Dead editor from 2015. Dustborn is a game that is just embarrassing from start to finish. I mean, dear God, look at those player models. This was a game that was clearly made for he-hims, and nobody actually bought this one, with it being probably one of the biggest failures of all time in gaming. A game that nobody wanted, nobody asked for, and ultimately they pissed and shat it out in the end. Now, our next entry is an absolute enigma, for reasons I've gone over in other videos. Now, Tales of Kanzara was actually a very tragic story of a guy who went up on stage at some game awards show saying he was going to make a game for everybody and everybody was going to love it, and nobody really did. Now, it's a very sad story because he shuttered it down and had a public meltdown there, the creator of this game. But it's also a very weird thing because on the surface level, this isn't absolutely terrible and a bad game. It actually looks pretty decently. It looks like something you'd buy on Switch for $1.99 late at night one night. And honestly, like, there's not bad things with the actual game. It's just an unremarkable game that became the poster child of the Sweet Baby era. And you know, that hurts a game. Publicity is bad publicity, and the biggest mistake the creator of this game ever made was tying themselves to Sweet Baby. If they had shut down the identity politics of this game, pushed it out there, not really said much, just had his speech or whatever on the Game Awards show, it probably would have went over a lot better. But for the mere fact that he got involved in bed with Sweet Baby, that's a mistake that's gonna cost your game that now is on the bargain bin of every single store. Wow, yes. How long it's been since Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League came out. A game so hilarious to make fun of. It was almost a moment in history. A game that doubled down on identity politics and threw it all into the superhero mashup and tried to fucking absolutely demolish superheroes games forever. A game that shat all over its predecessor and disrespected and disparaged Kevin Conroy, the Batman that people had loved and wanted so badly to see in this game. But what ending did he get? He got shot and dispatched by an absolute brat of a bitch called Harley Quinn that they made in this game, and is pretentious and annoying as every single character, and it all looks like some type of Fortnite fever dream. They totally ruined superhero gaming in a way that's pretty much commendable. I mean, they made a superhero game that by every account should have been absolutely brilliant, but with their stupid UI, their absolutely mind-boggling decisions to make it identity politics related, and just generally a game nobody liked but everybody made fun of. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was absolutely a work of art, a game that was fucking a miserable failure and everybody hated, and to this day they keep putting out stupid DLCs just to own the chuds, but the only one who got owned is them. Now, I've talked about Unknown 9 Awakening to very great lengths, including one of my top viewed videos for some fucking random ass reason. But Unknown 9 Awakening is a game that is kind of strange as well. We have a game that is obviously centered around identity politics, and they uglify the actor, which was actually like the lead star of Witcher, who doesn't look too bad in person, but some reason she's just annoying and pretentious in this game, and it offers a game of little to no fun. And obviously there were talented digital artists involved in this game's creation, but with a game so directionless, so unenjoyable, so meh, it almost excites the senses to make fun of it, as it's a game that I would never in my most boring gaming night ever consider loading up. Even if this game was given to me free and of charge, I would not be playing it. And that it goes to speak volumes for a game that is not even fun enough to make fun of. It is a work of art, I would say, and is the hallmark of DEI shovelware in the modern era, because it is that. It is just absolute travesty of human intellect. Now, as hilarious as it is that I absolutely forgot Unknown 9 Awakening was even came out this year when I was making this list. I actually looked it up because I was looking for the worst games of the year, and lo and behold, I had completely forgot about that despite making a massive video on it. There's a game that's not even out yet. It actually was supposed to be released in 2024, but got delayed over many reasons, I'm sure. And it's a game that we really need to talk about, because I'm counting it in the worst games of 2024, even though it's not even out yet. Assassin's Creed Shadows has caused extraordinary division online, and you could go to any comment section and see how this is just deeply unliked by the general gaming public. And there is a reason for that, because basically, and I'm sure completely unintentionally, the main character based in feudal Japan game is miraculously a black man. And that wouldn't be a problem if it wasn't for one of the most anticipated Japan open world games of all time, and they just had to doubling down on the identity politics, and it's almost certain that its delay has something to do with this discourse. Now, this is a game that is going to be not very good at all. I can attest to the fact that if this was just a Japanese man or had a character creator, I would probably be interested in this, but I don't want to get lectured on diversity. I don't want to be feudal Japan and have something take me out of that world. And I think the gaming community at large let out a collective sigh when we realized exactly what this game was going to be, where Ubisoft poured all its talent in development into a game that really rubbed players the wrong way, and it's showing probably with pre-orders. My prediction is that they saw the pre-order numbers for Assassin's Creed Shadows and the investors said pull out. Put it into something like February where we can have a little bit more traction and a little bit less competition, and that's the reason we did it. Maybe change some core story elements that were extremely controversial, like making Yasuke kind of the center of the Assassin's Creed franchise now, and things like that they realized they made a little bit of a problem here, and it's really going to show, because I'm including it as one of the worst games. It didn't even come out in 2024, even though it was kind of meant to come out in 2024. And let's be honest, it was probably ready to ship in 2024, but they saw all the shit that they had caused from making this, and yeah, they pulled out. And that's why it's on the list, is because it took our beloved franchise and shat all over it. So yeah, Assassin's Creed Shadows fucking is the dumbest idea they've ever come out with. And it just goes to show how lost the gaming world is at large when it comes to these big titles and studios. Now, I'm not sure if this one's called Hellblade Senua's Saga 2 or Senua's Saga 2 Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, or Senua's Sacrifice Hellblade 2, or Senua's Sacrifice Hellblade. You just don't fucking know, and who gives a shit. Now, there was a game that was moderately liked called Hellblade that came out a long time ago, and you know what? They had to make a sequel for this, and nothing could give the girl boss more power than being some lone Viking on some dreary world that is super realized, and she has to fight her way out and discover her true self. And it was a game that was very short, extraordinarily linear, gave off some pretty interesting tech that, I mean, I'm sure we could have put this to a lot better use, but at the same time, it is a game that didn't really take off, and it failed quite miserably. People sung its praises, sure, but there was no sale, there was no hype for this game. And the truth of the matter is, when you give such a hollow gameplay experience, people are not going to be invested long in this. And I think it left mostly a sour taste in people's mouth. As a girl boss type bad girl that just never really was likable by the general public. And as fun as it is, I'm sure playing this game over and over and over again, like a lot of people coped with, yeah, if you make a game that's just incredibly linear, made for people who only play 2 hours of video games a week, it's gonna not really sell well. And they really made a game here that was for nobody, and is going to go down in history as just a game everybody kind of forgot about because it was too short, it was too cringeworthy, and ultimately it was just something that nobody really liked. And the award for 2024 Shittiest Game Awards goes to Dragon Age: The Veilguard. It is truly hard to believe that BioWare took a franchise so bankable as Dragon Age: The Veilguard. Just make an open world fantasy RPG. Just let people live in this world without having to hear about identity politics and pronouns and what gender you are. The fact that they put this into gaming is absolutely venomous. And although it is made by a person who deeply believes in this ideology, it doesn't mean the rest of us should have to be constantly talked about and told about this stuff in gaming. Representation is an abject failure, as characters should naturally be put into a world that's believable and not inserted because it's the right and just thing to do for society. Veilguard was an utter travesty of gaming, as it took extremely experienced 3D artists and technical development teams and threw them into a project so completely doomed to fail that Dragon Age the Veilguard and BioWare should be shunned by the gaming community at large for ruining what should have been a knockout of the park. And so many years and so many hours were put into something of some type of sick fetish of someone's design to have a game that was completely surrounded by their own beliefs. It is a game that many Dragon Age fans were completely silent on because of the state that they had left Dragon Age the universe. But I mean, at the end, you just can't even talk about this game anymore because it's so easy to rip on. There may never be another game more universally hated and divisive as Dragon Age the Veilguard, and the fact that it's pretty recent goes to show you the state of the gaming industry as we speak. Veilguard is simply the shittiest game, not only to come out this year, but one of the shittiest games ever. Taken and completely wasted talent, destroyed a studio, absolved it in complete and utter madness with this gender fucking bullshit. And honestly, it's a sign that our entertainment has been infected in a way that needs to be remedied, because if we let all our games become this, we have no games left to play. Because if these fuckers had their way, the people who made Dragon Age Veilguard, all of our games would be full of gayness and trans ideology. It is something that needs to be brought to attention. These games cannot succeed, and very luckily, Veilguard did not succeed. In fact, it was an utter and complete failure, and people made fun of it so much that there's actually whole legions of people rising to hate on this game, and rightfully deserved so. It is the worst game of this year by far, and potentially one of the worst things to come out of entertainment of all time. And that's my picks for this year's Worst Game Awards. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you like, share, and subscribe, we'll make another one next year, because I'm sure 2025 will be full of all manner of embarrassments to gaming. Although also probably some really fucking wicked ones too. I mean, we got GTA 6, what more needs to be said? So I'm sure that there'll be some more shitty games along the way, but you know what? This was a fucking great year to make fun of shitty games.